Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, Madam Clerk, and honorable members of the council. Good evening. My name is Paul Papenchuk, and I'm here to speak regarding Agenda Item 9V. I reside at 34 Midland Street in Worcester. I'm a WPI grad and retired engineer after a 45-year career in energy systems. I'm a member of the environmental group 350 Central Massachusetts and the Union of Concerned Scientists. Our sincere gratitude to Councilor Rivera for assistance with this resolution. With all due respect, I can imagine that some of my fellow citizens and perhaps even some members of the council may think that they know all there is to know about issues related to climate change, or even worse, deny that it is happening. I'm not a climate scientist, but I'm an engineer and a proud tree hugger, and I've made it my life's work to understand how the life I lead impacts the environment. I'm here tonight to call for a revolution in our way of thinking as it relates to the existential crisis posed by climate change to all living things. Look around us. There are signs everywhere. Category 5 Hurricane Dorian, forest fires in the Arctic and the Amazon, rising ocean levels, and melting permafrost accompanied by the release of methane, a greenhouse gas 80 times more powerful than CO2. Then there's Iceland, commemorating the country's first glacier lost to climate change. While none of these events touched Worcester directly, have no doubt that we are not immune. While we sit here comfortably at 500 feet above sea level, we are enduring the effects of rising temperatures and humidity that contribute to more frequent and severe storms. Our food supplies will not be immune from the mounting loss of farmlands flooded late into the season, preventing crop planting in the fertile soil of America's rivers. And we won't be immune to the urban heat island effect. As this summer, I participated in a project guided by WPI that measured this effect here, and in my particular area was the burn coat area. And we measured 10-degree higher temperatures in those treeless areas that had been clear-cut because of the invasion of the Asian longhorn beetle.
Can you wrap up your comments, too?
Excuse me?
Can you wrap up your comments?
Yep. The extinction of countless plants and insects shake the foundation of the ecosystems we live in. And so what do we do about this? We must speak the truth about the crisis we face. We've known for decades that global patterns of natural resources consumption have exceeded environmental carrying capacity to meet these demands, and yet we continue to live our privileged lifestyles with little regard for the poorest 90% of humanity. We must lower our CO2 emissions dramatically. Our consumption includes millions of tons of plastic that litter our oceans and energy-dense liquid fuels that power our airplanes and automobiles.
Okay, can you wrap up the comments now, please?
Okay.
Now?
I'm a husband and a father and a grandfather. Our youth may be the first generation in history to face the real possibility of extinction on this planet, and they may also be the last one that can do anything about it. I love my city, and I honor you for the great energy work that has been done here. Please adopt this resolution and help lead us to a new tomorrow of caring for the earth and compassion for its creatures. Thank you.
Ted Khanna, City of Worcester. I'll be brief, but I am going to try and squeeze 40 years of history into about 40 seconds here.
I'll believe it when I hear it.
Yeah, I believe it. Our first warning about the threat of climate change came 40 years ago when I was in college. In 1979, the Charney Report from MIT and the National Academy of Sciences. The U.S. military began planning for how climate change would affect its national security mission in the 1980s and publicly declared climate change a national security threat in 1990. Now, the Department of Defense is not exactly a bunch of wild-eyed leftists, but they haven't wasted time debating whether or not the sky is blue for the past 30 years while the planet grew steadily hotter. They've been planning for it. Climate change changes everything. Scott mentioned Darfur. Another example, the war in Syria began with a 10-year drought. The sky is blue. Climate change is real. Climate change is the greatest moral, economic, social, and technological threat and challenge of our time, and it's high time we rise to meet that challenge. Councilors, if you want to be on the right side of history, you will support this resolution and continue the progress that is already underway here in Worcester. Thank you.
My name is Greg Dorschler. I'm a resident of Worcester in District 2 in the Highland Street neighborhood, a neighborhood which floods every time we get a heavy rainstorm. I fully appreciate the fact that climate change is a global problem and a solution will require a national and international response. However, as you've heard tonight, the impacts of climate change are very much local for those that are experiencing them. So I call on you tonight to stand up for the citizens of Worcester, not to wait for international and national action, but to declare a climate emergency for Worcester, because that's where the impacts are being felt, and that's where the emergency is being faced. Thank you.
My name is Colin Novick. I'm from 135 Olean Street, Worcester, Massachusetts, and I'm here on behalf of the Greater Worcester Land Trust. It is atypical for us to weigh into policy matters of this nature. However, there is nothing that cuts as close to our mission as item 9V. We have already had to change the way that we do maintenance of our properties in the city of Worcester. We've already had to change the kind of trees we're able to plant. We've already had to change the seasons during which we plant them. We've already had to change when we're able to harvest timber. All of these things have had to change within the last 5 to 10 years. Please give serious consideration and vote in support of item 9V, the climate emergency. I assure you that the impacts are already being felt in our very own community, and those of us who spend our daily life outside are able to notice it quite distinctly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.